Hello, we've been expecting you. Welcome to the For Your Ears Only podcast. My name is Jack and I'm joined by fellow host Derek. Over the series of the show, we will be discussing all of the James Bond movies in order to rediscover our love for the films and to learn a few new things along the way. In each episode, we will deep dive into the actors, the gadgets, the villains, and the music. We will also be uncovering little known facts and discussing our favourite Bond moments and how these have contributed to the film's enduring legacy. We even have 3 questions throughout the episode that only the biggest Bond fans will answer correctly. So strap yourself to that jetpack and get those martinis shaken as we are about to begin.
Hello and welcome to episode 003, Goldfinger, 1964, directed by Guy Hamilton. The third of the Bond films, the third of the podcast episodes. Like the Bond films, we're starting to find our feet.
Are we?
Yes. So, before we go into the 2 minutes, which you are going to be doing this week, I want to ask Jack, what is your earliest memory of Goldfinger?
Of Goldfinger?
Specifically of Goldfinger. And I'll explain why I'm asking this very specific question.
I remember more my grandparents talking about it, because either they went to the Glasgow premiere or they'd just seen it. I can't remember specifically, but they used to talk about the premiere and Honor Blackman having the golden finger at the premiere. She had like a big jewel golden finger that was Goldfinger at the premiere.
All right.
And I remember my gran always would talk about seeing Honor Blackman with the golden finger. And then I looked up recently that they did actually have a Glasgow premiere. I don't know if they actually went to it or just seen it.
Where was it? Showcase?
The showcase in Glasgow. But that's probably my earliest memory, is just them talking about it. I can't remember the first time I ever watched it.
Yeah. I think the reason for me asking is I think that Goldfinger was one of the first James Bond films I seen, or at least my earliest memory of James Bond. And my dad was the same. Like, I think my dad actually seen Goldfinger before Dr. No from Rush with Love. I think it was the same with a lot of people, because Dr. No did what Dr. No did, and it kind of established James Bond. From Rush with Love made it a bit more intense, and then Goldfinger came in like a titan of a movie with obviously new director. Massive. It was so inflated, like no one had ever seen anything like this before, and I think it got so much hype from the first two, and then this one comes in and just obliterates everything. I don't even know how well it did in terms of like, I think film success, but
it was a massive. It became huge, like took over the world basically. I know the first two were pretty successful, but then I think this one just exploded.
Nothing like it. Yeah. And I think we'll obviously get onto it, but I think Goldfinger did so many things right that it made the formula for not just James Bond films, but quite a lot of action films, spy films, action films. Yep. The formula for what gets people, not just bums in the seats, but gets people actually talking about it, excited years on, came from this film. And I think probably the best description I can do for this film compared to the other two is this film is more absurd. In most ways, it's absurd, but people don't look at it and go, that wouldn't happen. What's the point in that? Like, it's just like, okay, did you see that? Like, that's the level we're on. And even the films after that, they share this same formula. Even the best Bond films nowadays,
still have some elements of this.
Yeah, that's what's quite good about it.
Yeah, definitely. This was kind of, I guess you could say, the archetype film. Yeah. Every screenplay after this was basically a copy of it.
Yes. So we've established that we both like this film.
Oh yeah, very much.
At this point, before we go into the 2 minutes, you will notice that we are wearing nice t-shirts, unironed, for your ears only,
straight out the box,
and some mugs as well, which you can buy on our store, which will be linked in the link tree or somewhere. 2 mugs holding 2 mugs.
Exactly.
Shite pattern to begin with. Perfect.
Doesn't get any better.
We're
here all week.
too early. So at this point, we're going into the 2 minutes. So you have to try your absolute best to do you have... Is that the ring?
No, I don't.
No.
People are going to keep asking why you say that.
One day you'll wear the ring, but you are wearing your James Bond socks, but we're not going to discuss it anymore. We've heard enough about the James Bond socks.
We'll get on to that after, maybe. I'll briefly show you.
No.
In fact, we'll show them now.
No, please
They're
don't.
green.
No.
And who's on them this time?
Odd Job. With his magic hat,
Yes.
which we'll get onto.
Yes.
His magic hat.
He does wear a magic hat.
Yes, so let's do the 2 minutes, and we will... Are you ready? Are you actually ready? You forgot it was your shot.
This is a very hard one because it's kind of convoluted and it goes on. But okay.
It does go on, so we'll stay... And... Go.
Okay, so the film opens with James Bond blowing up a drug dealer's lair in South America, totally unrelated. That's a pre-title sequence. Then after the titles, we see James Bond is on holiday in Miami, relaxing. Felix Leiter comes up to him with a message from M to say he needs to look into a mysterious Mr. Goldfinger, who coincidentally is staying at the same hotel at the same time. And James Bond then, with the assistance of Goldfinger's friend or girlfriend, then blackmails him into losing at cards because he's been cheating this guy. So they then have intimate relations, and Odd Job, the villain, takes care of the girl, Jill. And then... That's a famous scene. She gets painted gold.
1 minute left.
Oh my god. Right, okay, so...
We're 10 minutes into the film.
He has to go on the trail of Goldfinger. He goes to Switzerland, finds out what's wrong with him. He's actually been smuggling gold across borders. Then he overhears Goldfinger talking about Operation Grand Slam, which takes us to Kentucky, where he reveals his full plan to the American mobsters before killing them, and he wants to radiate all the gold supply in Fort Knox to make his gold supply even better. With the help of Goldfinger's pilot, Pussy Galore, he alerts the US military, who come in, and just before he's about to set off the bomb, James Bond stops it. He then gets asked by the president to go meet him, and the plane gets hijacked by Goldfinger.
Out of time.
No.
So that's it. The film ends with the plane getting hijacked by Goldfinger. James Bond does nothing.
There's
What
so
happens
much
then?
in that.
You spent the first minute talking about the opening 15 minutes of the film.
I forgot how long.
So what happens after that?
Oh yeah, so Goldfinger is actually hijacks the plane meant to take him to the White House. They have a fight. Goldfinger shoots his gun and gets sucked out of the hole in the plane.
Yes.
The plane goes down, but Pussy Galore and James Bond survive. They manage to survive somehow, and then the film ends with them nicely wrapped up in
do they survive? Because they're in the cockpit and then they're not. The plane hits the water and then explodes like Hollywood
plane
does.
explodes, and then we see them wrapped up in a parachute, and it ends with "There's no time. This is no time to be rescued," and then that's it.
Wait a minute.
Isn't it?
I've just realised that they're in Kentucky
Yes.
when they get in this plane. I believe so. And they're flying to Washington.
Yes.
Why do they?
no ocean.
Why do they have a body of water? Where's this body of water that they've hit?
That is true. There is no
Maybe it's a big lake, or maybe
benefit of the doubt.
they've just not really thought about it.
There's many plot holes in this. Right, so we failed.
That was quite good. No,
We failed.
No, that was fine. At
On
this
our
point,
third
you
film.
need like the GoldenEye sound of what is it? You failed or.
Oh,
And
okay.
then blood. Jack is dead, and I will do the podcast myself as Jack is dead.
Right, so
that was quite
I've
good.
lost
There is a lot to take up with that film.
There's a lot to say, and in fact, the plot is full of so many holes. I would say
Absurd.
that.
It is absurd. Yeah. I mean, he's got a duck in his head at the start.
He has a duck in his head, and he's wearing a white tuxedo underneath.
But
his
he's got like
wetsuit.
a silk. No, he's got his wetsuit, and then he's got a black silk outfit, and then a white tuxedo, which are all completely dry.
Completely dry, and
Yeah.
but then you see the first product placement, I guess.
What is the first product placement?
His watch, his Rolex.
Oh, the Rolex, yeah. Well, there is more
time.
branding in this. I think this film is significantly more cinematic than the other films, and actually keeps that. And the shot that I really liked, which I bet Guy Hamilton was like, yes, was the overhead scene at the start when it's going over Miami and going over the hotel, and there's the guy who's in the top diving board who dives and the helicopter follows him, and just as he hits the water it turns to not the underwater camera but the camera that's in the glass panel of the pool and he must have been like, because the rest of it, a lot of aerial shots, a lot of flexing, the aerial shots, planes.
Well, the budget was bigger than both the previous two combined.
Should have been.
I think so. The budget of the first two was like $1 million each or something.
Well,
and that was more than that.
You mentioned about it robbing Fort Knox. That was the main. That was the crescendo of the.
Yeah. So in the book, he's actually, the book is here.
Does the book follow the film?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Basically, there's some added scenes, but in the book, he does actually attempt to steal the gold.
Right.
And then that's rectified as being a bit too absurd.
Yeah.
And
that's far too absurd for this film.
He has to like make it
peak absurdness. Yeah. I think the radioactive one is quite an interesting one because before we go into that, do we do the first question?
Okay, question number 1, everybody.
Right. Now pay attention, 007.
What day of the week is the attack on Fort Knox?
I think that's quite an easy question.
You think that's easy?
I think most people will get it.
I asked my brother that and he had no idea.
Well, Aaron!
We've established he's not very good.
You mentioned about the history. There's actually not a lot of history that goes on at the time, and I was looking for relevant history.
Yeah.
So I found a couple of different
good
nuggets of information. The main thing I'd say as well with this film, the reason that they did this film in America is purely for American audiences, as far as I'm aware. They wanted something a bit close to home in mainland America. Woohoo, yeah.
Yep.
Yankee boys. There was a Kennedy assassination the year before, 1963.
Yep.
Alcatraz also shut as well. Another impregnable.
Yeah, impregnable.
Building. Don't know why it's relevant. People can't get out of Alcatraz and people can't get into Fort Knox. But something that I found quite interesting about the gold at the time, and not a lot of people know about this.
Okay.
So here is another boring fact that nobody cares about.
Everybody wait.
So the history of Fort Knox has actually guarded quite a lot of things.
Okay.
Only one president has ever been inside Fort Knox.
Oh.
Presidents don't get automatic access to it. Only a certain group of people are allowed access to it. Now, rumour is that it holds at least half of the US's bullion reserve currently. However, no one can verify that. The last time someone was in, I believe, was the 70s when they were rebuilding the vault. I think it was Jimmy Carter that's seen it. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But only one president that's seen it. The reason that the gold is quite a specific thing is in 1933, FDR made a law that took all of the gold from US citizens.
Okay.
Didn't rob them, but fucked them over. That's probably the best way of describing it. So the reason for this is it was during the Depression. America didn't have any money. They needed spending. FDR put in some policies to try and generate spending and generate the economy. Now, at the time, still to this day as well, you can only print a certain amount of money for what you have in gold reserves.
Yep.
You can't just print money. That causes
back
problems.
then.
Yeah. I.e. after World War I with Germany. So in order to do this, they needed more gold reserves to print more money because they could only print $1 for every 40 cents worth of gold that they had in reserve.
Okay.
So what they did is they asked people to hand in their gold bars, lots of gold coins. They could keep jewellery and certain commemorative gold coins, but everything else had to be handed in.
Like post?
Yeah, Yes, there was carrot and stick. So the carrot was, we will give you $20 per ounce of gold.
Right.
The stick is, if you don't give us it and we find out, we will give you a 10 grand fine, which
wow.
in today's money is $280,000, or probably 300,000 now, and up to 5 years in jail.
Oh, really?
So
Wow.
Bob Geldof, give us your fucking gold, turned into that. Now the American government had all this gold. They needed more places to put it. Fort Knox was one of them. They had all this money here. The year after, they changed the price of gold up to 30 cents or $30 an ounce.
Right.
Hence why everyone was pissed off, because now they had even less money.
Yeah,
Money was
yeah.
less valuable and they had all that there. But up until 1971, the amount of dollars that were in circulation had to be no more than 40 cents per ounce of what the US
Yeah.
holds in gold. Richard Nixon changed that.
Yeah, he took
in
off the gold
1971.
standard.
Yeah. So if Goldfinger was successful, obviously the price of gold goes up because it's now rarity. It's not rare, you just can't get access to it.
Yep.
But would that have collapsed the economy? Because technically they've not lost the gold, it's just they can't get to it for a while.
You can't use it.
Yeah, I was going to say the time, but that's the next question. They can't get to it, but yeah, I didn't know that about gold, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. How everyone at the time was raging at the government. Yeah,
You got forced to take their gold. I didn't.
they had to do it. Yeah, that's why I think there was a point
to
when it was
build back the economy.
they needed it. Yeah, they needed
From
it
the
to
depression.
to hold that certain amount of gold, and then the gold was traded. So there's a fun fact.
So
that
when
no
the
one asked
gold
for.
got taken off the gold standard, or the gold standard, and then money just became basically debt.
Worthless. Yeah, that's it nowadays. It's like I say working for a bank. Like they don't. Someone doesn't give 10 grand, and then they say, well, we'll give you 2% interest per month, which will equate to maybe in a 30-day month about 40 pence.
Yep.
They don't then give that 10 grand to someone who needs a loan of 10 grand. They say, well, you need to pay back interest of like 6%. Because it's digital, they just say, we'll just keep that and we'll just digitise you 10 grand.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think
all just...
for every dollar you can loan out 10 now or something. The banks
It
can.
doesn't really make a difference just because they just
'Cause it doesn't-
digitise
it's
it.
not real.
It does. It's not held against anything with it. It's not real.
Yeah, you can't cash
Wow, we're
it.
getting off track. Welcome to the Money Podcast. So that's on the history I've got. Do you have any interesting?
I don't have
history
any
this time?
massive links, but I guess 1964. Some tenuous links I've got here would be Beatlemania.
Oh yeah,
So Beatlemania, this is when they go on the Ed Sullivan Show and they're massive in America.
but James Bond doesn't like them, does he?
James Bond doesn't like them.
Grumpy old bastard.
Yeah, because he's an old man in the 60s.
She's so happy. Okay.
Yeah, so Beatlemania is raging. So basically, that's the start of the British invasion, really, with the Stones and everything. But I never thought about James Bond being part of that. But it all happened together. So obviously, America is just like flooded
It's
with
like
British culture.
It's technically like a British export.
Yeah.
At that point, because then the Americans haven't heard or anyone in the world hadn't heard anything like that.
No.
So this was the new thing. I think at that point as well, anything that's new is like
Yeah.
yes,
Anything
Well-
shining gold.
gold. Shut up. Like we'll take it on. That's quick. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's good.
Not a lot of history influenced the film, but I think
No.
the fact that it was in America was obviously a big thing for American audiences to be
Yeah.
like, yes, he's in America. We're
He's helping America.
yes against this,
Basically saves
this
America.
foreigner.
It's all...
Is Austrian, isn't he, Goldfinger?
The actor's German. I don't know what Goldfinger.
Oh no,
No,
Maybe.
he says he's English. He doesn't sound English. Is that not the line in the film?
I don't know. I know he's dubbed. You told me that he was
Yeah.
dubbed. Again, something I never really paid attention to. But then when I watched it again, those bits where he's clearly speaking quietly, yet the voice actor's going
voice is like-
like yelling. But no, it was quite good.
It was quite good. That I would have thought in a major film like that, if the Beatles were watching it and then suddenly they was like basically
Slammed.
trashing them, that it's weird how I think George Harrison actually went and bought a DB5 after the film.
I'll show him.
And then also Paul McCartney went and did the song a few years later. Or maybe they were just like, oh wow, we got mentioned in the James Bond film.
I think it was written in, or do you think that's just Sean Connery's feelings?
I think it was Sean that doesn't like the Beatles. But yeah, apart from that, they've got nothing really for the world history that relates to this.
Other than America. Yeah, it was quite good though. I think the formula does work with it. Obviously the cast stays the same for a lot of it. James Bond is still Sean Connery. Is Moneypenny in this film?
Yes, briefly, because
I don't remember.
He's asked. What does she say? She asks him out, to meet that evening, and then M buzzes through to say, no, he has a dinner date with.
Yeah,
something like that.
Was it? Because there was the meeting explaining the gold, and as a child I never knew any of this, but I just fast forwarded to that. I didn't care for it, but then watching again I started to understand. It was like, all right, he's a gold person who's importing, moving it between countries, and nobody knows how he's doing it, but then he explains that he actually has like gold vehicles that are then taken and smelted down and such, which is quite, it's interesting, but then it's like,
can you get away with that in real life?
It's smuggling, so no.
Well, not I mean, is it easy to do? Can you do that? Like, if you melted your gold bar into, say, your headlamps or something, and you could just cross borders undetected even now.
Yeah, you could, but I don't think they're as strict with the movement of gold. Heroin, I think they would have an issue with that.
I don't think you could melt down heroin.
Doors made of heroin.
There's no way you could drive that.
I don't even know now if they're that. I don't know what the
especially with the EU now, you can go anywhere. Well, we can't.
No, the car's made of like tomatoes. With the shortage. That car smells like tomatoes and peppers.
And a lot of heroin.
Tomatoes, peppers, and heroin. The most exported thing.
What Britain wants right now.
Yes. So with the cast, a lot of them stay the same. A lot of new people coming through.
Yeah,
a lot of iconic people as well. Obviously, Pussy Galore is probably one of the most iconic. I wouldn't even go as far as saying Bond girl. Yeah, role that comes in, because it's that. It's one of those things where it's a picture that doesn't need sound. You know exactly which that bit, which is leaning over.
Yeah, she's leaning over in the plane.
Everyone knows
exactly what she's going to say.
Yeah. Goldfinger, like obviously Oddjob is as a villain, like more of a henchman. He was maybe the archetypal henchman.
Yeah, I think he has more staying power than Goldfinger. Really, he's got more people know who he is. Yeah, just even by his silhouette.
Yeah, the silhouette, the hat, which Rachel describes as the magic hat. Because she's like, well, it bends on. I think she's it bends on corners, but it doesn't bend on corners. It just goes in a straight line. But then I'm defending this thing, which is
absurd.
Just shoot them. Why do you? Absurd. Yes,
that's going to be the word of the day.
Yeah, absurd. We're going to keep an absurd.
Why does
counter.
I guess it does.
Was that in the books?
Through trees. I don't know. Can't remember.
But yeah, I think it's one of those. It's a unique skill. He's also very strong. I assume from crushing a golf ball.
Can you do that as well?
I definitely can't crush a golf ball.
You look like you could get that. I'm pretty sure, was it not like a Mythbusters episode where they try and crush a golf ball like that?
With a hand?
Or something. I can't remember.
With like a hydraulic press?
Probably that would work.
I don't know if... no. I don't know why that was intimidating. Because surely if he can do that, he can beat anyone. Like the hand-to-hand fight at the end, like he just keeps throwing him around. I don't know if he's just trying to delay him from defusing the bomb, but he could just kill him.
Yeah, totally. If he can destroy a golf ball, he could easily like crush his skull.
Balls.
Okay. Pussy galore.
He could like just kill him, but
he could.
That's not his. Like, chops him every now and then. Chops him outside the fridge. Chops him again. Yeah, it's.
I know that at the fridge, when he chops him at the fridge, Sean Connery actually got injured.
Did
he? Yeah.
Did he hit him and go, "That's for the Beatles"?
So
the McCartneys send their regards.
Yeah, McCartney. Yeah, his name is Harold Sakata. I wrote that down because I couldn't remember.
Okay.
So he actually injured Sean Connery in that scene.
Good.
And he had to take a few days off, and which led to him saying he didn't really want to do it anymore.
Sean Connery?
He didn't really want to do the film. He was resisted coming back. And then...
What a knob.
And then
Why?
he got offered 5% of the profits of every James Bond film he was in if he stayed.
Oh no, it's a claim. It's a claim, that's what it is. Oh no, I need more money.
Only money can save me now.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I think it is. I think the actor that plays Oddjoe, he was like, Sean, give me some more money. But I want 1% of what you get.
I want some money.
Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But Sean Connery would go off and do that a few times, not just in James Bond films, but in his career he would always hold out for the money.
There's a pattern
All about the
emerging
money.
here, isn't there?
Well,
I think Never Say Never Again. We can see. I've never actually seen that film.
I've never seen it either.
So I think we probably should watch and review that.
Yeah.
Just as a
maybe.
bonus episode, because I don't know what it's about, and I just know that Sean Connery returned for money, and the hairpiece is most definitely prominent.
Yeah. In saying that, this is the first film he actually wears a hairpiece. This
I
early
thought he
on.
wears some in From Russia with Love, no?
This is the first film he does it.
Okay. Mr. Universe. Oh no, I said it again. He said it. Something that I did actually notice with this film, and I actually really liked it, is how intimidating Goldfinger is. The other films are kind of theatrical. Goldfinger is actually quite scary. And there was a couple of points, like after the golf scene, he's going, I think we've met each other twice now, and I think this should be the last.
Yeah.
And John Connery's like, oh no, James Bond is like, oh no, it's fine, oh, you're afraid for a repeat game? And they're going, I think we both know what to be like. See that one? And I was like, oh, that's chilling. That is scary. And then the laser scene, where he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. And he's like, no, there's nothing else you can tell me about this. Nope. I expect you to die. The other thing as well, he said one of your colleagues identified you as 007. Who? Who was that?
No, that's a line I didn't get.
That's never explained as to who that was. So someone gave him up, but he just doesn't care. But he doesn't want to kill him in case the information he has is passed on to someone else. So he's just keeping them.
008 replaces me, isn't it?
He's keeping them alive, so the authorities can see that he's alive and well, and nothing's going wrong with it.
That's my view on it.
Yeah, he is quite menacing through it all. I don't quite understand why he needs the gold to be. Does he not have enough?
He just wants to make his more valuable, like any sort of megalomaniac kind of guy.
Yeah, but
he's more real, I guess. You're right. He's a lot more real than Dr. No.
He's actually pissed off. Like,
or he's not like some fantasy villain that strokes a cat. He's just an actual guy who wants like, more money.
Yeah, that's real. That. Yeah, he's just a megalomaniac. That's probably the best description. But he is menacing, and the point where he's actually getting annoyed with James Bond and be like, "Will you leave me alone?" Yeah. But then at the end, he's like, "Actually, I can't kill you. I need to keep you here." And then at the racetrack, I'll bring him out. Those guys are looking. Bring him out. Everything's fine. Just keep him here. Yeah. I don't know. Frightening. A frightening character.
He is a good villain.
Yeah.
Played by Gert Frobe.
There was a point that Rachel made as well when I was talking about the Masterson sisters. It was the first Masterson was killed by gold paint, which I think that was on Mythbusters, and that's not true.
Yeah,
but then Tilly Masterson does nothing, adds nothing to the plot other than tripping the alarm. Yeah, to get everyone to come out.
She trips the alarm, misses the shot on the mountainside.
Yes.
But she doesn't really.
She does nothing else. She gets her car destroyed, and he goes, "Oh, a double blowout." And I was like, "What about the shredded bodywork as well?" Like,
who could have done such a thing? How did this happen?
Both tires are burst, and also the side of your car is missing. And she's like, "Oh no, what's happened here?"
Yeah, surely they must know because she shot at him basically, so she knows what he looks like, and then they all act as if they don't know each other.
Yeah,
it's very weird.
That plot hole number one. That was I don't have anyone else in the cast to kind of bring out from that. I actually liked.
I liked that Honor Blackman was in it. So this was probably the first time where they get another big name, well-known name.
Was she quite big at the time?
Because she was in the TV show The Avengers.
Was she?
At the time, and she actually had to leave that role to come and do this film.
Avengers also had what's her name? Her name is Diana Rigg.
Yes. Diana Rigg actually replaced her in The Avengers, and then she went on to do another
what a bitch. Yeah,
which is quite cool actually. I liked that. But yeah, she was a big name, and that's why she could do judo and all that in The Avengers, and that's why they kind of added that to the film, that she was like some acrobat judo person.
Yeah.
In the book, she's a lesbian. On her
lesbian in the film as well.
Well, it doesn't really say.
She does say, "You can turn off the charm. I'm immune."
Yeah, and that's about as good as it gets.
Yes. I suppose as well, like, there's the bit where she does get annoyed. In fact, it's twice that I think. I think James Bond is jealous of Goldfinger, because at the start with Jill Masterson, Jill Masterson.
Yep.
She's like, he pays me. They go, just to play cards. That's like, no, nothing else. You seen that, man? No, nothing else. And then Pussy Galore as well was just going. I think it implies the same thing, or what does it pay for?
Yeah,
and then just goes, I'm a damn good pilot, like that. Where accent. It's like, no, yeah, you seen this guy? No,
yeah.
And I think James Bond is just kind of like, he does have a bit of an issue, to be honest.
He does have an issue.
Yeah, even like Tilly Masterson, he's like, I'm going to follow her. Then he actually goes, discipline 007.
Yeah.
Discipline, do not follow the girl.
Yeah.
Changing his ways, and then he doesn't. One I seen that I actually do quite like, not a Bond moment which we'll get on to, but I do like, and I always liked it when I watched it when I was younger, is the jail scene where
I do like that scene where he sort of disappears.
Then the picture goes
yeah, when he goes down.
Why did the guard go, I'm going to go open that door?
He must have escaped from his cell.
Yeah, I did a wee bit of comedy. This film is quite funny at points as well.
Going back to the start, that is probably one of my first memories of the film, is that scene
in the jail
cell, because I found it funny, but also like, oh wow, how did he get on the ceiling? How did he get on the ceiling?
The absurdity of this film is quite funny at points, because there's Goldfinger's death.
Yep.
Iconic. There is the army being taken out by planes which are, I'm going to estimate, 200 or 300 feet in the air with small, even if they are pressurised gas canisters. What volume of air are they? I know the gas wasn't really there, but surely even the pilots are going, oh, they're dropping awful quickly. It shouldn't be this effective.
Shouldn't be this easy.
And I always kind of look out for the extras, like falling and going.
Yeah, just trying to
slowly kind of going down
on them.
Yeah, those bits are like not laughable, but yeah, they're quite funny.
Yeah, but it's the 60s again. It's like the 60s punching that's like a mile away from the face. And they fall
or it's
down.
A punch and it's like, pow.
Yeah.
Sock.
Sock it to ya.
With Batman.
Yeah, I have that. I have Gert Frobe, a little facts about him. So he's German. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the only one that auditioned for the role. They wanted somebody else, but he genuinely couldn't speak any English, so they patched him and went with this guy, Gert Frobe, who they'd seen in a film in Light. And by the time he got onto the set, it was too late to recast him when they found out again that he couldn't speak much English, Gert Frobe.
Could he not?
That's why he had to get redubbed.
Who's the casting director for these films?
Just all these obvious errors. It's obviously not very good.
How many were fired?
Yeah.
Who brought him here? He can't speak English. You gave him the script. Can he read the script?
All these people that are in the films that are dubbed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he couldn't speak English, or what he did do was like learn his lines phonetically, but he couldn't, the pacing and everything was wrong, so that's why they had to redub him to someone that could...
That must be hard to act against, because then he might have said something that was complete gibberish, and the actor's like, is that the next line? Like,
And if you've only learned it phonetically, you can't like act it different ways. You can only act it that one way that you've learned it, say it that one way.
Yeah.
So that's partly why he got dubbed. And it's been called actually one of the best dubbings in cinema.
You don't really notice it a lot unless you're looking out for it. It is pretty good because the actor is good, like with these, like because the most iconic line from him is "I expect you to die," and he goes, and he does.
It looks as if he's
drops it
actually
out,
saying that.
and it does look like it. So yeah, hats off to Gert Froben.
His real voice is actually in one scene.
What is the scene?
The scene where he's explaining to the mobsters Operation Grand Slam, and it's James Bond's underneath looking through the model.
Okay.
That is what you hear in the background is Gert Frobe's actual voice.
It doesn't sound any different.
I know. I listened to it the other day and it hardly...
Why are they making it harder for themselves?
hardly sounds any different.
18 billion! Yeah, it's... Yeah. I think as well that character is also maybe kind of set the benchmark for villains, where sometimes I don't need an ulterior motive. Sometimes I am just a bastard.
Yeah.
Like Goldmember, like for Austin Powers. That's just like...
The Dutch.
I love gold! Like, Goldfinger does say that. All my life I've been in love with its colour. Like,
yeah, that's it.
Like he likes gold and he wants more of it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's just I'm a very greedy man.
It's not like trying to take over the world or kill everybody or all these weird things.
No,
why would you do that?
I might set a nuke off, but it's your job to not interfere, and it will just go underground. That's all I'm asking. No one will be killed, other than the many, many soldiers that I'm going to guess.
Yeah, another point that makes him quite chilling, like you were saying earlier, is when he was like, if you tell anyone I can set it off anywhere, I'll just set it off.
Yeah, just very
like,
casually, like just like, okay, it's in the country, I might set it off and
where's it going to be?
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
I know that the film was actually banned in Israel.
Why?
For a brief period of time because Gert Frobe was in it, a German who had links in World War II. So that's why Israel banned it. But it turns out...
And they thrown down the Nazi gold bar.
Yeah. He said, I've seen this before.
That's mine.
My name's on it. But yeah, apparently it got briefly banned and then they realised that he was actually a good German and helped families to escape. So they reinstated the film.
I think that probably the most iconic thing of this film is the gadgets. And just to list off, I think mostly it's the car. So to list off the car, obviously it was a DB5 that was meant to be a Bentley, but then the Bentley was, what have I written down here? Had its day. Just decommissioned. Yeah. I think because it's like a 30s Bentley he had. Yeah. So it's got this new car. I like how there was no reason for it. They just, here's one of the most expensive cars in the world. Enjoy at the taxpayer's expense. Yeah. So it was bulletproof everywhere.
Bulletproof glass.
Revolving number plates, which weren't actually used, but...
No.
Okay. There was a homing device, which was quite clever, because the homing device could track the car, but you could also have one in the shoe, which is the radar thing. There was a smoke screen, an oil slick, shield plate, front machine guns, passenger ejector seat, which is an iconic moment, and tyre shredders. Yep. Most of those were used in the space of 5 minutes.
Yeah, everything.
I'm going to use everything here to get away from these people.
And it still doesn't get away.
Like, the budget for Q Branch to go, we've put all this stuff. See this really expensive car? We've gutted it.
Yep.
And we're putting all this other stuff in it. And the head went, aye, sure.
And then gets destroyed.
Smoke screen? Sure. Oil slick? Sure. Machine guns? Sure.
Go for it.
Just make everything. Do you want the stuff in the boot? No, you can't, because there's actually a plate here. Even though the glass is bulletproof, as you've said, we're going to put this other plate on top of it. But that was, again, iconic. That was like the big thing about it. It was not just a flashy car. When that car is now what anyone... Like, no one buys that car unless they've seen James Bond.
Yeah, everybody knows.
If somebody bought an Aston Martin DB5 at any point between the 60s and now, and they went James Bond car, and the person said, who? Or, oh, I didn't know. Nah, keys off. Nah, you're a liar, my friend.
Like, George Harrison, obviously, and King Charles has one.
Yeah.
But he's like converted it to run on vegetable oil. Oh dear, no.
That's staying in. Yeah, so poor people.
Yeah. Just ground up poor people. The slums. It became massive, and it then became a toy and everything, and all the merchandise, and even it's come back in so many.
Yeah.
2 films at least.
Yeah, the latest one.
3.
Yeah.
It's in the next film. So.
Make your mind up, Jack. It's come out a lot, and again, it's like timeless classic. Nowadays, I think it must be over £1 million to pay to get one.
Recently, they brought out Aston Martin brought out they called it James Bond or the Goldfinger continuation,
right?
Which is, I can't remember how many they made. They made of the like replica of the car, and it has all the gadgets on it, but it's like fake shooting guns.
Yeah,
and it has all that stuff.
Fake.
And it has like the Homer device in it. That just makes
Homer device. Homer.
Donuts. It has all this stuff in it. I can't remember if they only made 7 or something like that, but they cost $3.6 million, and it's not really road legal, obviously, because it has the revolving plates and like fake guns that come out.
You also buy a tank. Yeah, but I think that was the iconic bit. I think for all the marketing, I would imagine the DB5 is the thing. Like the ejector seat scene is
so iconic.
It's like, oh no, the gear stick. The guy's holding a gun and he's like, what are you doing? Yeah. What's that button do? He takes all the time and then comes up, parachute. Why? He's like 30 feet off the ground. And then crashes the car. But yeah, I think with this film, they must have understood like the more gadgets, the better. Mm-hmm. That's it. But see this car. We need this car like kitted out with the most extreme examples of weaponry. It needs to just be like so extreme. They couldn't do much. I mean, the homing device in the shoe was one thing. That was really as far as they could go, I think. They couldn't do much more in terms of...
I'm sure that appears again, doesn't it? Like the exact homing device in like maybe a Pierce films.
Yeah. See, I think about it, when was the last... James Bond fired his gun once in the forest before he get captured. Never fires his gun again for the rest of the film. Never fires a gun or a weapon.
Does he not? He has 9 kills. Because I've seen a video talk about that.
One of them's Odd Job. He electrocutes. For the rest of the film, he doesn't. He just sits. He just tries not to die. He's in the prison. He doesn't shoot him in the prison.
Yeah. The guy at the very start with the shocking.
Yeah.
Positively shocking.
He just doesn't shoot. He doesn't have a gun a lot.
No.
So obviously that doesn't stay for the rest of the film. He's armed a lot of the time, but he's not armed on his person. He just makes himself a nuisance for the majority of the film.
He's just a prisoner for most of it, really.
Yeah, but he's so annoying that they don't kill him and they just keep him a hostage. As a hostage for the majority of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just a nuisance.
He is a nuisance. There's not so much spying going on. Like the first 2 were good spy things, and then this is just
infiltration is probably the best way.
He always gets caught.
Yeah, well, he kind of gives himself up because he's there to play golf.
Yeah.
To try and learn a bit more about the gold. He throws the gold almost like a threat. Mm-hmm. He wins $5,000 actually. Where did that money go?
Straight.
And then he just tails Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Then gets caught and then is just a nuisance from that point. So I think
he has a DB3 in the book if you want to know that.
I didn't want to know that.
But by the time that the film came out,
DB5 was a new car.
5 was a new one.
What's the next question?
Question
Since
number 2.
Since we're on the subject of the end.
Right, question number 2. How many years will the gold stay radioactive if Goldfinger's plan goes to fruition?
And this is not what James Bond says.
No.
That's what Goldfinger corrects him.
Yes, what's the real number?
Something that is a big part of this film, and I think I would even put it as a like if we're talking about Bond moments next, I would actually put this as a Bond moment, because the song in particular and the theme of this film is, I know we spoke at the DB5 and stuff like that. That is the strongest thing of this film whatsoever. The song is in my head, and it's been in my head for 5 hours now. But Shirley Bassey, who came on, who has done countless other James Bond films, pitched for other ones as well. John Barry writing the song, doing the score as well.
Yep.
It is iconic, and again that huge vocal, that big brass ensemble, keeping the theme throughout the film as well, is what they did for not even every modern film as well, like David Arnold and such. When he brought
characters have themes and stuff.
Yeah, he puts that through and it sticks with everything. Like 2 notes. Meh, meh. See that right there, 2 notes.
Everybody
you know exactly
knows
what it is. And I like the story in the documentary talking about Michael Caine hearing that for the first time.
Yeah, being the first person.
And I said to you in the car, I was like, that would be cool, but Michael Caine has enough stories. Like, if that was me, I'd be telling that to everybody. Everyone I met, I was the first person to hear Goldfinger. Michael Caine knows enough. And has been through enough experiences that's almost been diluted. But yeah, that score mixed with not just Shirley Bassey, but I think that type of vocals as well. It's just
is again a blueprint for quite a lot of the songs after the big hell note right at the end.
Yeah, we know what they do at Thunderball as well.
Yeah,
they know what the formula is.
Yeah,
that works. And even after the film, the song stands on its own. It's a song written for the film. I don't really know of many other James Bond films where the song, there's maybe only 4 or 5 that actually stand on their own and people listen to them as in like, what a great song.
Yeah, just have it on their playlists.
Yeah, Carly Simon's probably Nobody Does It Get Better. That's there. Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die. Maybe even Diamonds Are Forever, I'd say.
Diamonds Are Forever. You Know My Name. Like, those songs just stand on their own merit. And I think with that, they were like, right, that works really well. The people like this song. I don't know how it did well in charts and stuff, but that works. Let's stick with that. And even after it, people will be... I think if you were in the cinema, you would actually shite yourself as soon as that started. Sorry for headphone users. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is good. And what I liked about it was when John Barry was talking about it, because he did the first 2 films as well. So the first film, because it's set in Jamaica, has some like Jamaican rhythms and instruments in it, and the second film has got some Turkish elements in it. And he really went ham on the gold theme because he has so many brass and metal instruments in this theme, and he specifically wanted that as a sort of nod, so that's a very bombastic brass score, just to relate the full theme of the film, which I thought was pretty cool.
I think that's quite interesting if he chose gold and brass to be kind of the theme because of gold, but then inadvertently that's been like, that's the theme for every Bond film. I think not a lot of people know this, but we are equally qualified, maybe you're more qualified to talk about music things, since the theme tune for this song for this podcast is a James Bond song that we were involved with.
Oh yeah, for this podcast. Okay.
Yeah. We have experience of writing music
in this sort of genre,
mixing and such like that. You have experience in recording.
Yeah.
Many degrees in recording. I don't know how many degrees you've got in recording. So yeah, we know what we're talking about.
We know what we're talking about in music. Well, do we?
Shirley Bassey's good. John Bassey.
John Bassey's sister.
Calvin Bassey.
Calvin
Bassey's some composer. So yeah, that was a moment for me. The other moments, the magic hat from Odd Job.
Odd Job's magic hat, yeah.
Gryffindor. The ejector seat which we spoke about already. The laser sequence. The laser sequence as well. Everything with lasers is for a villain now.
Yes.
If the villain has a laser, that's it. Like, I'm going to cut you in half with a laser. It was so absurd,
but over the top.
Yeah, it's
another iconic scene. Like, that still because it also gets parodied so often.
Yes.
Like The Simpsons parodied it for that episode. You only move twice.
Yeah, so it's
Hank
like
Scorpio, and he has that James Bond kind of character, Mr. Bunt. Stop him! He's supposed to die. And then Homer tackles him, and he just gets shot. Simpsons, I love the
stop
Simpsons.
plugging the Simpsons.
But yeah, it gets parodied, and
Yeah.
obviously Gold members, Goldfinger
Yeah.
and stuff. But this is why this film is so influential. It's just
It always goes back to this film.
everything.
In my opinion, this started the James Bond kind of as we know it.
Yeah,
for going
totally.
forward. This is where it worked, like cinematically. The Goldfinger death as well. I've asked a friend of mine who's a training pilot if that's possible. He's just not got back as of yet.
I don't think it is possible to get sucked out the window. Maybe
I think the effect of the fuselage depressurizing would be something. However, it's a very small opening.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was bigger, then less pressure. It's the same amount of pressure in the cabin, but if it's through one bit, it's more pressure.
I don't know.
I should know this.
You should know that.
but I don't.
But there was a plane like in real life that had all of its fuselage, like the top half, rip off, and they still managed to land safely with
Yeah, but
everybody
that's
on
a bigger opening.
But I don't.
Why does a pin go into a wall when a golf tee doesn't? You've put the same amount of pressure into both of them. Just the pin has a smaller surface area. Oh, surface area, and it pushes in. Golf tee has a bigger surface area, so it doesn't go in. Or you need to use more force. So the plane, if you opened a plane with a small amount, the same amount of pressure has to escape.
Right.
Which is why it's almost like a drain. But then if you have a large opening, the same amount of pressure goes out a large opening, so it doesn't have as much of a. I think
We should have a physics
I
side
don't know what I'm talking
podcast.
about anymore. I'm sure that's the way it works with atmospheric pressure and such. If I'm wrong, correct me. I don't know these things. Do you have any other Bond moments?
Yeah, well, I had the laser. So when we say Bond moments, I'll just reiterate it, it's like iconic, impactful and memorable moments that would be trailer worthy, or moments that you just can't wait to talk to your friends about. Is what we define as a Bond moment. And
this film is loaded with them.
It's
from the get-go.
Every 10 minutes.
He's disguised as a duck.
Yeah, the duck disguise, the tuxedo under it. Even that's like the first 2 minutes. You've already got
then
two.
The white tuxedo comes out again.
Yeah.
The gold woman.
The gold woman.
Because then that's actually reiterated. Yes, that's actually reiterated in Quantum of Solace with the oil.
I've got the ejector seat, which was spoken about, and the statue with Oddjob's hat. That is cool.
Yes,
that's an iconic moment as well. Every scene has some iconic moment, and I think this is where the one-liners start to come into more effect this time.
But it's a really terrible one though.
There's a couple in the previous films, but this is where it's like it's just a staple. It's going to be in every film. He has to say something funny.
Shocking is a good one.
Shocking, positively shocking is good. It's nice and quite dark, but it's good.
The worst is played as Golden Harp.
The Golden Harp.
As soon as he said that, I was like, that's not even clever.
Yeah, those moments are pretty iconic. Definitely the laser, I would say, is the biggest one.
Yeah.
And maybe the golden Jill.
Yes.
The golden Jill.
I think that's... Goldfinger has a gold gun at the end.
He has a gold
gun. And the
gun.
army think that he's a real general, and it's like, hey, how did
you get here before us?
How many headshots did you get with that gun? I don't get that. That's a Call of Duty joke, but...
No, I don't get it.
No,
he has a golden gun, and then, is it Scaramanga has also a golden gun?
That is the golden gun. I think this is just a gold. This is just a gold-plated revolver thing.
Would that work as effectively? Because
it'll be plated though. It'll work. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I like how the first person he shoots with it is his own guy.
The nuclear guy, yeah. And then the next shot was his downfall.
Yes, in the plane. He shoots it.
Shot the plane.
That was kind of some... You kind of seen... I guess you could say you seen that coming when Pussy Galore and James Bond talk about it. Like,
he explains what's going to happen, and by explaining it, the audience are like, well, that must be true. James Bond said it.
And then it happens.
And I believe everything James Bond says. I hate the Beatles now.
He hates the Beatles, and you can die by painting your skin.
Yes.
Which you can't do in life. Because you don't breathe through your skin, really, do you?
Your skin does breathe, but you would need to cover everything, like your scalp and your arse crack, your eyelids and everything.
There's some thick paint, yeah.
Yeah. How did it do that? How was there no drops on the bed?
Yeah, so Oddjob's in the room watching them go at it. And then when he gets up, he karate chops him.
Yeah.
And then spends, like 2 hours painting this girl.
I don't even question the hotel security. Because I've just remembered, like, see at the start, Sean Connery in his weird blue thing walks up and just goes, mate, come here. And then he just takes her key and goes, that's Mr. Goldfinger's suite. And he goes, I know. And then he just goes, thank you. And then walks. And then she just goes, oh, that's fine. What? Where's the security? No, I don't. Oddjob just walked her out of there. Probably in the scud. Threw in a truck. Gold brought back. Everyone doesn't bat an eye, just thinks, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, just don't mind me and my golden woman.
Dripped all over the floor. Last question. Try and think where we go from Oddjob just dragging a corpse through the hotel.
Gold.
People walk up, excuse me, just chops him.
Just throws his hat at someone.
I'll do the last question.
You can do the last question.
Right. We'll try and read my writing. What? What? I can't read the first word. What fast food brand is Felix Leiter parked outside when they're tracking Bond? A little bit of branding. More branding.
You might know it if you should know it if you know where they are.
You also kind of have a guess of, at the time, 3.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
3.
that could be 3 with that.
Did you know that you can buy that sort of outfit he wears at the hotel at the very start, that sort of blue onesie thing? You can buy that on the James Bond website.
How much is it?
$395.
I'm not even surprised.
You can get. I looked at it this morning. You get a blue one, a black one, and a cream one.
It is essentially a onesie that you've cut the legs off.
Yeah. Do you go swimming in it? Do you walk around in it? No, because he wears just shorts underneath it in the film.
I don't think I would wear that in public.
No. Well, maybe. If James Bond can do it, so can you.
No. No.
And also, I also seen that you can get his Penfold Hearts golf balls.
How much is that? What is it? Penfold Heart? Is that a brand?
Hearts is the brand.
Oh, is that an actual brand? I wasn't sure if. Because obviously there's like Slazenger.
Yeah.
Slazenger's an actual brand. I wasn't sure if Penfold's an actual brand.
It's 12 balls is £35 or something. And you can get like a replica of Oddjob's hat without the steel rim and everything for $7.95.
Do you know, Rachel did notice the hat that Diana Rigg wears in Majesty Secret Service. We're like, that's a really nice hat. And it came up with like an ad the other day and you can get it. It was like £350.
Oh, really?
I'm just like, no one's buying that.
Yeah, Meta's listening to you.
Meta is listening. I have nothing else to talk about with that. Do you want to go into the...
No, do you want a funny fact though before we stop? Right, so Harold Sakata, who plays Oddjob,
yes,
wasn't the first choice to play Oddjob. They had somebody else who auditioned for the role, but he was already a henchman for Dr. No, like an uncredited henchman in the lair, so they decided to get somebody new. Both people that went for the role were wrestlers. I know that Harold Sakata was actually an Olympian wrestler.
Right.
And he won silver at like the London Games in 48, 49. and that's where they saw him.
Uh-huh.
And so the other guy, who's the bodyguard for Dr. No, he said, "Why don't we have a wrestling match?" And the winner of the wrestling match gets to play Oddjob.
I think more casting should be like this.
Because they were both wrestlers, and so he said, "Let's have a wrestling match." And the producers were like, "No, that's a stupid idea. Let's just give it to..."
Oh, they didn't do it?
No, they didn't do it in the
I
end,
wish
which
they
would have
did.
been funny.
That would have been quite funny, actually. I would have preferred that. You should have just lied to me and told me.
They actually
what
did.
happened? They started chopping each other.
Yeah,
That is quite a funny story.
that's quite good.
So we come now to the point. I know where my mind is going with
Where we are
rank.
ranking it on the
Yes.
board.
I know exactly where mine is going, but I'm unsure. I'm unsure with you.
Do you mean right now, or once we have them all?
What?
Once we have all the films on the board, or right now?
where it is ranked right now.
Right,
so
so-
I for me the.
Is it better from Russia with Love?
Yes.
Because you said you loved that film last week.
I thought it was a great film, and I didn't say I loved it, but I think Goldfinger. I can't move because I'm trapped here on the couch.
Right, well,
I just
I'll
live in the
move
studio.
it.
But Goldfinger is better than From Russia with Love with me. As we can see, the films are, as they're going on, getting better in my opinion.
Yep, the higher
So
up the
we'll see if
board.
it's still there.
the
But
better.
I think Goldfinger
It's
was.
an all-time great, so I feel like it's going to, at the end of this, it will be up the top somewhere. And
Yes.
I totally agree. It's totally a top 5 film.
Yes.
It's one of those where when I was coming to watch it, I was like, is this overhyped? I really want to rewatch this. I know all about it. And then when I did watch it, I was like, oh yeah, this is
It
why.
is good. It
This
is
is
still
why
good.
it's so... Everybody
is
loves
good.
it. It's so good.
I'll have to pick apart moments, but most of the film is timeless.
Timeless.
There's a few moments that I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, there's some dated scenes, some scenes that maybe could...
oh, that's a very, that's a very political thing. There's some dated scenes.
There's some
Do you work for Disney?
There is a dated
some,
scene.
There's certainly some dated scenes that I'm just kind of like, what do
Yeah,
you- what
that
do you
wouldn't
do?
fly nowadays.
Yeah, but overall, an enjoyable film.
Yeah.
And
A very enjoyable watch and read.
an enjoyable episode. Maybe.
That's
Well,
for the
that is-
viewers to
We
decide.
know you hate it. That's actually a good plug for if you have enjoyed this episode and you're on Spotify, why not go ahead and give that wee 5 stars? If you're on Apple Podcast, I believe it's also a rating, maybe? Possibly. I think so. If you're on YouTube, then if you could give it a like and a subscribe.
Hit that
And,
bell icon.
Hit that bell icon. And I don't know any other... I know we're on multiple other platforms like
Yeah.
Amazon and such like that. I don't know how they work.
No, nobody knows.
I don't understand, but yes, a nice little rating would go down well, and t-shirts and mugs as you want them. They're on
Actually,
our store. Yes.
Feels nice.
It does actually feel quite comfortable. I don't know why I'm surprised, but it's a nice t-shirt.
The mugs are good too. I will actually be using this.
Buy it now. Yes.
It's much cheaper than anything you'll get in the James Bond store.
Yes, it is significantly cheaper by I think about 3,000%. It's cheaper than that. You can buy many hats and
Yes.
jackets for the price of many of these t-shirts. But yeah, I'm done telling people how cheaper fucking t-shirts and mugs are.
Good quality though,
yes,
right?
we'll see you next time. And we were talking about
Thunderball
Tom Jones.
by the man himself.
Big held note, passed out, but we'll be talking about that at that time.
Just giving away half the episode.
I know. Okay. The For Euros on the podcast will return.
Da-da-da.
Okay, right. Bye-bye.
Bye.